持ってくるというところですが、RT的にはどうですか今のところは。
そうですね、全然悪くない感じですかなと。
1つ目の、領土カラグリア、オルブスカラグリアは無事に解放したということで、これから、アルフェンとシオンと、そして、カラグリアの、抵抗組織紅のカラスのボスのジルバ、この3人と、そしてもう1人ですね、北、女の子リンウェルという4人で、次の領土シスロディアに向かうというところですね。
その白いのはずっと連れてるのか。
白いのね。
白いのね、って、まあ TGS でもかなり頭角を現したということが出ましたね。
かわいですねこれ。フルホフロイズの戦闘ですけど、さあクリスはシオンで落としてフラムで終わりと。
そうですね、ここはもう完全に固定化できる戦闘ですね。
パターン化してますもんねこの辺はね。さあここでさっき尖った牙が欲しかったんですけど、さあ引けてますでしょうか。
皆さんお祈りをお願いします。
俺にも月が
なしと。
よし、
これはどうですか。
これはですね、ちょっと RTA やってて不安になる場面ですね。
これちょっとやばそうですよ。大丈夫ですかね村田さん。
まあまだね。
まだね。
まだもう3回ぐらいですかね、入手チャンスありますので、まあ、余計に狩りをしなくてもまだまだ全然進めるチャンスはあります。
さあここの避け方とかね、ぜひ見ていただきたいんですけど、こうやって誘導して横から抜けると。
はい、基本的な避け方の一つになりますね。
はい。これ基本的にこの先ずっと使うんですけど、本当にちょっとでも抜けると戦闘始まっちゃうんでね。
そうですね、しかもその敵が強いし逃げられないしみたいなところも結構多いので、
はい、とにかくエンカウントは避けたいというところなんですけど、こう必要に追ってくるね足の速いやつとかねいろいろいますから。はい、はい、さあここも横から抜けていって危ないですね。ダンジョンについてはまあ基本的にはこうもう抜けていくだけっていう感じですかね。まあ、ちょっと
そうですね、
はい、
あとは道端にあるもので、まあ、ロスを少なく回収できるものはどんどんしていく。今しましたね。
ですね。まあ、この辺に今鉱石取りましたけど、さ、鉱石ってどういう目的で使ってますか。
そうですね、まず鉱石にはメインとなるスキルがついてまして、
はい、
あそこが状態異常、無効にしましょうとか、あるいは火力を上げるスキルも今後ついてくるといったものがあります。
はいはいはい。結構こういったスキルっていうのがこの先アライズやっていく上で非常に重要になってくるんですね。
そうですね、特に鉱石、今作にはレア度がついてまして、まあ、レア度の1には何もついてないベースのスキルしかないんですけど、レア度2以上の鉱石ですと、まあ、追加で属性攻撃プラス20とかいったものがついてくるので、まあ、若干運が試される感じになってきますね。
鉱石ガチャというやつですね
まさにその通りですね。
はい。さあそしてここはアイテム回収してそろそろここ泳ぐんですよね。
そうですね、
結構びっくりしましたね
水没しちゃう、
はい、もうアルフェンのシオンもこうマップで泳ぐっていうのはなかなか新しいなという感じがすごいしましたけど。
そうですね、テイルズあんまないですよね。
ないですね。歴代多分泳いだシリーズはないんじゃないですかね、はい、そしてこのウルバン岩窟という一つ道を抜けてこの先がシスロディアですが、まあ、めちゃくちゃ暑かったのがカラグリアですけど、まあ、ご覧ください。このようにめちゃくちゃ冷え込んでおります。
寒暖差がすごそうですね、はい、
めちゃくちゃ風邪ひきそうな
そうですよね。
はい。さあ、まあ雪ステージってどっちかというと終盤のイメージあるんですけどね。
そうですね、雪ステージ、まあ、ちょっとテイルズだとやっぱり雰囲気がかなり好きなんですけど、
そうですよね。こう雪降る中で最終決戦に向けて決意表明するみたいな
シンフォニアとか
そうですね。シンフォニアとかアーミスとかいろいろなエクシリアもエクシリアは違うかな、まあ、違う雪降ってないから結構そういうのがあるんですけど、今回はステージ2ということで、はい、まあ、一転してねこう空も暗くなってというところですけれども、
人がいるじゃん。
休める時に
さあここで、休める時に休むということで、まあ、我々あと5時間ぐらい休みなんでね頑張っていきましょう
ないですね
はい、まあ、ここは、アクセサリーのチュートリアルですかね。
そうですね、先ほど取ったものを見て早速追加スキルないかなとか、
はい、
まあ、最初にちょっとだけドキドキするポイントかなと、
今のところは、まあ、そんなにまだあれですかね。
そうですね、あまり強化とかもせずにそのままとりあえずチュートリアルとしてだけ最低限の操作を終わらせたというところですね。
さあシオンがお腹空いたての野菜スープを3つ作りましたけども、3つを作ればね、
十分よ。
さすがに
ね、
8部でやめてみたの。
いやー3杯食ってるんですけどね。
3杯ですか。
いやまさかの腹八分ということで3杯で腹八分ですからね。もう 1,2 杯ね必要だったんでしょうね。はい。さあアクセサリーのチュートリアルと、食材の購入、これサブクエとかお菓子をこの後作るようですけれども、あれですね、現状はアクセサリーとしてはアレキサンドライトというアクセサリーがほぼ必須レベル。
そうですね。次の鋭が、光属性の攻撃を使ってきますので、それをなるべくパーティーメンバーに装備させたいというところになります。
はい、なかなかね光やばいですからね。
そうですよね。
さあ、メザイ224ということでシスロディアの村でございます。さあ早速戦闘ですが、シスロディアの執行隊ローとその取り巻き戦ということです。ジルファの様子がだいぶおかしいです。動いてません。無抵抗です。
動いてなくてただただローという少年に殴られ続けているという状況ですね。
ローになぜかジルさんは手が出せないということで、さあなぜなんだというところですけども、ローはとりあえず狙わずに、アルフェンとシオンは
Sniper Wolf has been brought up a lot in regards to her content over the last couple of years, with the most recent situation being her feud with Jax Films. And while that turned into quite the entertaining feud, there's been legal trouble for Sniper Wolf brewing in the background in regards to her YouTube channel and apparent marriage with a guy named Evan, but he's known as Sausage. And what's interesting about all of this is it actually confirms everyone's speculations dating back to 2014. Because throughout Sniper Wolf's entire career, she's just been getting into controversy after controversy. And every time her past behavior was brought up, she essentially just deflects and denies it all, with the two early situations that were pretty big being the original YouTube channel of hers that was apparently called Sexy Sniper, and then the other one where she faked her gameplay, which was a big deal back in the heyday of the Call of Duty community, because a large contributor to her early rise was, oh, woman play video game very well. Very nice, subscribe. And plenty of massive Call of Duty YouTubers called her out on this, and to pretty much no one's surprise, she denied it, even though it was very obvious. So I guess she's just been reacting to content her entire career, but at least made it obvious that she was reacting in the last like 5 to 6 years. And that is also just multiple controversies in of itself, because one, it being barely transformative content, and two, people are now questioning if she's even reacting to begin with or reading off a Google document. And that leaves me with the question, what's the point of being a reaction channel if you're not even going to react? Well, we have this 23-page complaint that kicked off this lawsuit here, which really exposes how the Sniper Wolf channel was allegedly set up and ran. And this really ruins Sniper Wolf's life as she knows it, because she spent her entire career trying to keep all of this hidden. And just like in my other video, I want to give a special thank you to Matt Katster for sending me this document. And I realize this isn't a short complaint, but it is just packed with eye-opening information for how Sniper Wolf's channel is ran, or allegedly ran according to this complaint. Plaintiff, Channel Red, has in all material times been an Arizona limited liability company in good standing that has been doing business in Maricopa County, Arizona. Young is, and at all relevant times mentioned herein, a co-manager and 50% member of Channel Red. Defendant Aaliyah Shalesh has at all material times maintained her principal residence in Maricopa County, Arizona. So those are the two main people involved here, Young, who is Sausage, and Aaliyah, who is Sniper Wolf. But starting off with the general allegations, in or about 2010, Young and Shalesh met for the first time while playing the video game Metal Gear Online. During this time frame, in or about 2010, Young and Shalesh exchanged cellular text messages briefly, but otherwise largely ceased communication after a short period of time. In or about 2011, Shalesh began a YouTube channel under the moniker Sexy Sniper. Shalesh's Sexy Sniper YouTube channel had a largely negative reputation and was infamous for posting content. Shalesh's Sexy Sniper YouTube channel was not affiliated with or otherwise related to the future SSS Sniper Wolf YouTube channel referenced herein. But both Young and Shalesh have taken measures to ensure that the Sexy Sniper YouTube channel could not be connected to the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. Moreover, Shalesh has made an explicit record that Sexy Sniper is not a derivation or otherwise connected to the SSS Sniper Wolf moniker or Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. In or about December of 2012, Young and Shalesh reconnected through text messages and began regularly exchanging correspondence and communications. In or about January 2013, Young approached Shalesh with an offer to engage a new joint venture. The aforementioned joint venture involved creating a new YouTube channel under the moniker SSS Sniper Wolf. The concept behind Sniper Wolf YouTube channel that was Young was going to play the video games such as Call of Duty and or Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance, and record his gameplay. Young would then prepare a script for each recording for Shalesh to read on camera while acting through that she was playing the recorded gameplay footage. Yeah, I messed that one up. Video game footage. But this already confirms everyone's speculations of, oh, she was faking her gameplay. Not that people were really doubting that speculation, but now it's essentially confirmed in a court document, or at least alleged. Young made it clear to Shalesh that the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel needed to be a completely independent and separate from Shalesh's prior Sexy Sniper YouTube channel due to the serious negative reputation Shalesh had cultivated through the content on her Sexy Sniper YouTube channel, and also because the content was going to be entirely different and distinct. In or about January 2013, Shalesh agreed to Young's proposal to create the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. On or about January 19th, 2013, Young created and otherwise established the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. To establish the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel, Young utilized a mixture of Young's and Shalesh's biography information, including but not limited to Shalesh's first name, birthday, and gender, and Young's last name and contact information. At the time of creating the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel, Young and Shalesh agreed to split any revenue from the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel equally. While Shalesh was the face of the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel, Young was at all times heavily involved in the creative content and operations of the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel, including but not limited to concept origination and development, script writing, directing, video editing, posting finished videos to the channel, and market research and analysis, among other things. So according to this, he was running the channel and she was the face of it. Most notably, the gameplay footage depicted in the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel was played and recorded by Young, while Shailesh merely read and reacted to the gameplay according to those certain concepts and scripts prepared by Young. Although Sniper Wolf YouTube channel had since shifted focused on content other than gameplay footage, Young still plays a pivotal role in the operation of the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel through directing, filming, content gathering, overall strategy, and direction and marketing, among other things. Within months of its creation, the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel began to attract a significant following and to date has over 33 million subscribers on YouTube. Young's involvement and efforts contribute significantly to the initial as well as the ongoing continued success of the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. Within 2 weeks of establishing the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel, Young entered into an agreement with Fullscreen for ad revenue generated to the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. Young and Shailesh agreed to and in fact did share the revenue from the 2013 Fullscreen agreement equally. Young and Shailesh received this first payment from Fullscreen in connection with the operation of the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel in or about March of 2013. All payments from Fullscreen were sent directly to Young's PayPal account and then split evenly between Young and Shailesh. I still don't know how to say your last name, so I'm just kind of rolling with it. But Young moved to the state of Arizona in about May of 2013 in order to be closer to Shailesh, who already resided in the state of Arizona at the time, to further facilitate both their romantic and business relationship. Young and Shailesh married in or about May of 2013. On or about March 29, 2014, Young and Shailesh created an additional YouTube channel under the moniker Mr. Sausage Boy. The Mr. Sausage Boy YouTube channel was created in order to depict Young's personal channel separate and distinct from the content posted on the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. Young and Shailesh agreed to, and in fact did, split all profits arising out of the operation and business of the Mr. Sausage Boy YouTube channel, just as they had done with the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. On or about June 4th, 2014, Young and Shailesh also created another YouTube channel under the moniker Little Leah. The Little Leah YouTube channel was created in order to cater to a female-centric audience by and through posting of content related to makeup, designer goods, shopping, and fashion. Young was involved in the operation and success of the Little Leah YouTube channel by and through, among other things, purchasing fashion inventory, directing and filming videos, and coordinating marketing efforts, among other things. They also split all the profits to the Little Leah YouTube channel. Collectively, Sniper Wolf YouTube channel, Mr. Sausage Boy YouTube channel, and the Little Leah YouTube channel will hereinafter be referred to as the prior channels. Both Young and Shailesh retained equal control and joint decision-making involving the prior channels. Profits from the business and operation of the prior channels went into the joint bank account of Young and Shailesh. On or about June 10th, 2014, Shailesh entered a revised agreement with Fullscreen for ad revenue generated for the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. Young and Shailesh agreed to and in fact did share the revenue from the revised 2014 Fullscreen agreement equally. On or about October 20th, 2016, Shailesh entered into an agreement for Google ad revenue generated for the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. So this essentially means that she used to be a part of the network Fullscreen and then she transferred directly to Google AdSense. And they also split that Google AdSense equally as well. On or about February 8th, 2017, Young and Shailesh jointly formed the channel Red in the state of Arizona. That's the company that he is apparently using to sue her, which she also apparently owns 50% of. Pursuant to the articles of the organization of Channel Red, both Young and Shailesh were listed as managers and members of the limited liability company. Pursuant of the articles of the organization of Channel Red, Young was designated as the statutory agent of Channel Red. As of the date or filing of this complaint, both Young and Shailesh remain listed as managers and members of Channel Red. As of the date of filing this complaint, Young remains the statutory agent of Channel Red. In organizing and or otherwise establishing Channel Red, Young and Shailesh entered to the verbal operating agreement, whereby each of them owned 50% of the membership interest in Channel Red and agreed to split all profits arising from the business and operations of Channel Red equally. Pursuant to the terms of the operating agreement, Young and Shailesh were to maintain equal access to all associated YouTube channels as well as joint decision-making in regards to the business and operations of Channel Red, including but not limited to
If you can't survive for 10 minutes, just delete the app.
If you want to last more than 10 minutes in an unmelted attack, do not select Yvain at the start. Yvain might be able to unlock Holy Shield and Fireball skills. She's just one hero. Thus, I recommend new players to choose the Unremarkable Marksman at the start. The Marksman has super long range. They make it impossible for the Unmelted to get close. Next, move your troops to unlock more troop count and towers. With 2 more power buffs at your disposal, no Unmelted can stand against you. How lucky I am! I got the Piercing Arrow buff, 100% increase to critical chance. Charge! Wow, I even unlocked the Dragon Egg Tower. No amount of Unmelted can scare me if the dragon hatches. Oh my god, no, my Dragon Egg!
to creating, posting content, as well as entering into potential business opportunities. Following the creation of Channel Red, Young and Shalish jointly as a married couple enjoyed a significant success relating to the business and operation of Sniper Wolf YouTube channel, including but not limited to engaging in numerous sponsorship brand deals and receiving prestigious awards such as the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award for Favorite Gamer in 2019 and 2020. Upon information and belief from the time of formation of Channel Red in 2017 until about September of 2022, all revenues from Channel Red was deposited into Young and Shalish's joint bank account with Channel Red and were shared equally between Young and Shalish pursuant to the terms of the operating agreement. Under information and belief from the time of formation of Channel Red in 2017 until about September of 2022, Young and Shalish maintained joint control and decision-making in regards to the business and operations of Channel Red pursuant to the terms of the operating agreement. And during the same period of time, they had equal access to the YouTube channels. In or about September 2022, Young and Shalish separated or otherwise terminated their romantic relationship. So that must be the catalyst for all this, because I'm assuming that Sniper Wolf no longer wants to be involved with Sausage and have them take 50% of her business, when, according to this complaint, they made it. They own it 50-50%. But it also says here it was done via a verbal contract, so that makes things interesting as well. But following the termination of the romantic relationship, Shalish began actively taking steps to lock Young out of their business relationship conducted through Channel Red. Following termination of the romantic relationship, Shalish unilaterally conspired with Channel Red's brand manager, Kevin Gold, to seek and enter into business agreements and or brand deals with certain companies, including but not limited to G Fuel, without disclosing the details of said arrangements to Young. Yeesh. Well, that's not good for business. Allegedly conspiring against your business partners, that's a good way to get sued, and here we are. Young explicitly made it clear to Shalish that these unilateral brand deals could potentially negatively impact Channel Red due to pending litigation surrounding the termination of the romantic relationship. Shalish retained all profits from these unilateral brand deals, including but not limited to those with G Fuel in separate bank accounts, including but not limited to the certain bank account with First Republic Bank, account number, without disturbing any portions of the profits to Young through Channel Red or otherwise. Despite repeated attempts by Young to discuss the operations of Channel Red with the brand manager Kevin Gold, Mr. Gold has refused to provide Young with any request details, including but not limited to potential brand deals, merchandising opportunities, or sponsorship opportunities pertaining to Channel Red. Additionally, on or about September 12, 2022, Shalish unilaterally created the YouTube channels Sniper Wolf Top Videos, Sniper Wolf Espanol, Sniper Wolf, I'm assuming that's Arabic, and Sniper Wolf Frances, I butchered that, collectively, and the subsequent channels. The subsequent channels post compilations or translations of existing Sniper Wolf YouTube channel videos, and therefore are clear derivations of the existing Sniper Wolf YouTube channel content owned and operated by Channel Red. The subsequent channels have, at the date of this filing, accumulated over 100 million views and accrued over $1.2 million in estimated revenue. So TLDR, Sausage is missing out on a bag. Despite Young and Shalish still being married and they're still married right now. I guess there's an ongoing divorce or something then. But they're still married and joint owners of Channel Red. Shalish unilaterally created the subsequent YouTube channels for the express purpose of diverting income from the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel content once the dissolution of the marriage was finalized. Young is an equal and 50% member and manager of Channel Red, expressly objected to the creation of the subsequent channels on the grounds that the subsequent channels stood to potentially divert and or otherwise detract viewers from Sniper Wolf YouTube channel, thereby causing damage to Channel Red and Young. Nevertheless, Shalish unilaterally created and continues to maintain the subsequent channels despite the direct and express objection from Young as an equal and 50% member and manager of Channel Red. To date, Shalish still runs them. To date, Shalish has provided no accounting or financial information in regards to the subsequent channels. To date, Young has received no portion of the profits from them. To date, Shalish has refused to provide Young with access or information relating to the subsequent channels. In or about September 2022, Shalish locked Young out of the Channel Red's Instagram social media account, which Young had previously utilized to help grow Channel Red's social media following and presence. To date, Young remained locked out of Channel Red's Instagram social media account. Oh, she took his hard drives? Whoa, wait, okay, wait, whoa. On or about September 27, 2022, without knowledge of a prior authorization from Young, Shalish took from the jointly owned residence on Happy Valley Road certain hard drives and phones belonging to Channel Red or Young collectively. Yo, what the I was like, wait, that rings a bell. Yeah, I used to live in Scottsdale, so funny enough, I used to live very close to them. What the Fun fact, the music video thing I made for my Area 51 meme back in like 2019, I filmed probably like 2 minutes away from Happy Valley Road. I realize it's a pretty long road, but yeah, 2 minutes from that road. But the devices contain sensitive company or corporate data associated with Channel Red and its operations, including but not limited to significant evidence of Young's involvement in the business and operations of Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. Wasn't Sniper Wolf actually caught stealing like over a decade ago? I guess once a thief, allegedly maybe a thief again. Yeah, she was arrested on armed robbery charges. Yo. Oh, they were also charged in 2016 for fighting. The more you know. Because both Aaliyah and Evan were arrested, it seems like, the second time. So did they just have like a public fight with each other? Eesh. But upon the unauthorized taking and subsequent withholding of the devices, Young changed the password and login. Oh, he changed the law. Oh, wow. Okay. So he still has access to the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. So Young changed the password and login credentials of the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel out of fear that Shalish would upload, delete, or otherwise modify content from the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel, which could directly impact and harm Channel Red and Young. Young has since provided Shalish with the necessary login credentials to access the Sniper Wolf YouTube channel. My guess here is he made her a manager on one of her new accounts, but he still owns the main account that controls the channels. Interesting. Despite repeated demand from Young, Shalish initially refused to return the devices. Unless Young took extreme and unnecessary measures, such as agreeing to execute a non-disclosure agreement. Okay, so he had an NDA with her, I'm assuming then. So in or about March of 2023, Shalish finally agreed to and in fact did return the devices to Young. On or about October 20th, 2022, Young filed a petition for dissolution of non-covenant marriage without children in Maricopa County. So that's just a divorce. As of the date of filing the complaint, the dissolution proceedings remain ongoing. As of the date of filing this complaint, Shalish and Young remain married. So now for the counts. Count 1 is breach of fiduciary duty. Count 2 is breach of contract. Count 3 is breach of implied covenant in good faith and fair dealing. Count 4 is tortious interference with contractual relations and business expectancy. Count 5 would be conversion. Count 6 is accounting. Count 7 is appointment of receiver. So this is going to be very interesting to watch unfold because she's going to have to respond to this at some point. She had a massive cash cow going for a long time. I mean, it's still going, but now she's risking it by wanting to go separate from her ex, which also is understandable that you don't want to give your ex a 50% kickback perpetually for your entire career. But they started it together as a business, so I see both sides here. Either way, though, it seems like in September of 2022, her life as she knew it changed forever. And divorces by themselves are ugly enough, so I can only imagine when you also have a company generating potentially millions of dollars monthly. Oh, wow. I didn't even see. Okay, so if you go to her social blade, there's actually a massive decline. From the month they broke up, the channel has dropped like 50% in their average monthly views. Wow, that is actually way more than I expected. So Sausage might have actually had a massive role in creating her content or helping her run her channel all the way up until they broke up. Because in this lawsuit he mentioned, he was saying that he was worried that she was going to start diverting views to other channels so she could make more money. And we might actually be seeing the results of that here. Because on August of 2022, she gained 541 million views. And now August of 2023, 1 year later, she gained 233 million views, which is still a massive bag. But it's a 50% decline in just 1 year. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
was stolen from these podcasters, and I decided to investigate. I found the man responsible, but before we confront him, let's go back to where it all started, when Theo Von, a comedian, released this.
Our podcast was defrauded. We were stolen from. The company that did it is Cast Media, and the man that did it is Colin Thompson. In total, I've just between talking with folks, there's up to $4 million that I know of. We're in the six figures. I know of podcasts that are in the seven figures.
Now, when I saw this, I had the same two questions on my mind as you do. One, who is Colin Thompson? And two, y'all are making 6 to 7 figures doing podcasts? I'm in the wrong line of work. I make like 4 figures here in the $10 million studio. Barely keep the lights on, okay? So I went to do some research, figure out, how these people are making all this money and also how they got robbed. And what I found out was that this company that stole the $4 million was a podcast network called Cast Media. Podcast network being a fancy name for saying they represent podcasts to find sponsors. All that stuff you violently skip with the fast forward 15-second button. Yeah, those guys. And Cast Media would basically work with them as a middleman. They would take some money, give the podcasters the read, and then give the money. Of course, taking a cut for themselves. Now, that is simplifying it a bit, and we'll go into the details more later. But what you need to know is that Cast Media hadn't been paying their talent on time. And what started as being late for maybe a month had turned into 7, 8, 9 months late on paying, until one day Cast Media and their CEO, Colin Thompson, says, hey, we're probably going to go into bankruptcy, which means you get nothing unless you take a special deal with another podcast network called Podcast One. Now, who's Podcast One? Well, it's an even bigger network, and they basically say, hey, we'll acquire you, pay off what you're owed, if you sign a new deal with new terms with us. If you do, you'll get back some of the money you're owed now, some of the money you're owed over 2 years, and you'll also get stock in our company. But what stock? Well, Podcast Network stock, a company that wasn't public yet, but as of this video now is, and is down almost 50%. Now, if you took that stock in 2 years, you could sell it. How much it's worth at that point is dubious. Now, Podcast One would say they were just trying to help. It wasn't their debt, so it's a great deal. Now, the more cynical view of this is that it's kind of strong-arming creators. You either take the deal or you'll never get what you're paid. I mean, podcasters like Jim Cornette were literally told, in the event that Cast is unable to close the Podcast One asset sale, it will likely declare bankruptcy. So take the deal or lose everything you're owed. And to make things stranger, Podcast One was paying Cast Media in stock for every podcaster that took the deal. So if you agreed and wanted the money you were owed, you're kind of bailing out the company that got you into this mess. So obviously some people didn't like that deal. Although understandably, others did and took the deal. And look, I'm not here to litigate whether those Podcast One deals are good or bad. Frankly, it's not the point of this video. All cleanups are gonna be messy. What I did wanna know though is, how did that $4 million go missing in the first place? And to try to find out, I began to reach out to everyone, starting with Colin Thompson, to ask for his side of the story. You're being accused of basically stealing $4 million. Your clients say you defrauded them. What's your side of the story?
Yeah, I appreciate you reaching out. I wanted to talk with you because I appreciate the work that you do. I appreciate your journalistic integrity, and I know that you're going to tell a fair story. Cast is sort of the dream of the vision of independence, free speech, not bound by sort of corporate norms, the ability and the backbone to support visionary, talented, unique, independent voices, people like Theo Von. Cast's perspective was independence is the product. There were plenty of times where we believed in the show. It ran into trouble. Maybe it was canceled in one way or another, and canceled, quote unquote. And we stood by our creators, right? Continue to support them through that time, when maybe a more corporate organization wouldn't. We weathered the storm together. We believe truly that that's what, was unique and special about Cast. And my heart and soul is still in that vision. I'm a musician originally, and I got into this because I wanted to support shows that were bucking the trend, going against the grain, but unique and important to the broader dialogue.
But where's the 4 million? I mean, yeah, I hear you. Everybody's got a grand vision, but the grand vision, when we get to this point, everyone wants to know where the money is, not what the vision is.
Sure. We built an infrastructure at Cast that I was and am tremendously proud of. I believe that over the years we generated better revenue for creators, paid them out more than other podcasts would necessarily be able to, because we invested heavily in an infrastructure, took an individualized approach, anecdotally.
But you're saying you pay out more, but I mean, clearly that's kind of not true, right?
Wait, but you asked for my story. Do you mind if I just tell the story? We're getting to the financial difficulties. Stephen.
Sure.
Our vision, it really worked. Creators benefited, made a lot more money than they would have, and many creators do have more money in their pocket now because of that. However, during the period from February 2022 until February 2023, our unit economics changed drastically. Our revenue per download, which is an important metric for analyzing sales performance, free from content performance considerations, dropped by 58%. In other words, over the course of those 12 months, the revenue that we could generate on one download moved down by 58%,
Okay. That took 3 minutes to get to a real answer. And I've got to be honest, this whole conversation was about that painful. Talking to somebody who...
Takashi and Machiko, a newlywed couple, find themselves inexplicably transported to a mysterious bar known as Quindecim. They slowly make their way through the bar and find Decim, an enigmatic and emotionless bartender who greets them. After confirming that they have no memory before being here, he tells them that they are required to participate in a game, while clearly withholding any information about their current whereabouts. Naturally, Takashi and Machiko initially try to find a way out, but are quickly met with disappointment. Now angry, the man thinks it's a good idea to threaten a bartender that doesn't smile. So the Deccan man calmly moves aside and reveals dozens of bodies hanging behind him. Upon realizing there is no room for negotiating, the couple agrees to play along and they press a red button, which for some reason reminded me of this meme. Likewise, Takashi thought Deccan was memeing when he told them the game they will be playing, i.e. darts, will be a high-stakes game. Each dart thrown will inflict real pain upon the other person, a feat impossible to believe. However, as soon as Takashi throws the first dart, his wife feels pain in her shoulder, but they dismiss it as a coincidence and the game continues with Machiko's turn. She throws the dart and it lands on an organ reflecting Takashi's artery. As the man feels the pain deep in his chest, he realizes everything said about the game is true, yet he still wonders how Deccan made the link work. The pretty boy doesn't say much aside from telling Takashi that although he has to play the game, he's not forced to hit the target. And so the couple agrees to deliberately miss their targets to avoid causing harm. However, as the game progresses, suspicion and tension begin to erode their trust in each other. Thinking this might be their last night together, Machiko tells Takashi that she is pregnant with his child. Genuinely happy, Takashi hugs Machiko, telling her he's glad he's finally gonna be a dad. But after throwing his last dart, he remembers Machiko's friends talking shit in the bathroom. Talking shit in the bathroom. This flashback resulted in him, quote-unquote, accidentally hitting the pregnant woman's stomach. Dr. Eavesdrop then continued to double down on his douche-ass behavior of trying to take his wife's last dart for himself, a thing that Deccan doesn't prevent since the game's only rule is to play for the end regardless of what. As Takashi takes his stance to shoot the last dart, he calls his wife Machi, reminding her of what her friends said. Machiko's eyes widen as she realizes her friends were referring to their other friend named Machi, who also is marrying a doctor. Takasan is taken aback by the thought that he ended his child's whole career before he even began, so he tries to fix things with his wife, but in the process accidentally pokes her with the dart. This time it was truly an accident, but Machiko, fed up with this guy's level of insecurity, takes the dart and emerges as the victor, shattering Takashi's heart in the process, literally and figuratively. Devastated and desperate to alter the outcome, Takashi attempts to reset the game, hoping for a different result. However, Machiko intervenes, recognizing the futility of their situation as she realizes that they are already dead, which Decim confirms, saying that Quindecim serves as a realm of judgment for the departed. Those who perish simultaneously are summoned to play a game as a means of evaluation for their ticket to either heaven or hell. Confused and disoriented, Takashi implores Decim, mistaking him for a deity, to intervene and alter his fate. However, Decim corrects Takashi, saying that he is merely an arbiter. Takashi, looking like the most pathetic man in 2D land, turns on Machiko, accusing her of infidelity. Just to be clear, we don't encourage cheating, but when a dude is licking his fingers and drooling all over himself, it might not be that bad of an idea, if we're being honest. That said, Machiko shows her other wicked face and confesses, telling him that she was only after his wealth, even though her remorse is quite apparent. Consumed by rage, Takashi attempts to harm Machiko, only to be subdued by Decim, who renders him unconscious. With the game concluded, Decim escorts the couple back to the elevators, bidding them farewell. At the last second, we can see the chick's elevator going down while the guy goes up. Elsewhere, a black-haired woman wakes up in the chick's elevator going down while the guy goes up. Elsewhere, a black-haired woman wakes up and finds herself in the company of a young girl named Nona. As she inquires about her name, the woman tells her that she cannot remember. Nona assures her that it's all right since she doesn't have a name. Soon after, they take a train ride and an elevator lift to Quindecim, where the emo boy is chilling. He greets Nona and then stands still as the two ladies talk. She explains to her that Quindecim serves as the afterlife destination for the deceased, who participate in games with their lives at stake, and the host's role is that of an arbiter. Arbiters are tasked with judging the deceased based on their memories and display of humanity during the game. Before the dead arrive, their memories are sent to the arbiters, as we see from Decim's eyes morphing to view them. She then leads the woman to the upper viewing area that is filled with mannequins, which, by the way, were the hanging bodies the couple saw earlier. The girls sit down and observe Takashi and Machiko as they play a game of darts, slowly revealing their true faces. Yup, we re-experiencing the events from another perspective and seeing all the ways Taka-san fucked up, as well as the moment Machiko told the truth about having an affair. While the events unfold down there, the lowly explains that hell and heaven don't actually exist. It's what the arbiters say to the guests to keep things simple. In actuality, souls are sent either to the void where they cease to exist or sent to get reincarnated in the human world. Thought we made that clear, since when a person hears reincarnation these days, all that comes to mind is slime, harem, and overpowered abilities. Anyways, after the dead depart, the girls meet Decim in the hallway and Nona commends him. The woman that'll finds the entire process dreadful, but Nona assures her that she will become used to it. Curious about the fate of Takashi and Machiko, the woman asks Nona, who speculates that Takashi was sent for reincarnation, while Machiko's soul went to the void. Going over the events that just transpired, the woman believes that Machiko only cheated once and regretted it till the last moment she died, and that the baby was Takashi's despite her claim. Decim questions Machiko's motives, and the woman theorizes that Machiko lied out of love to spare Takashi's guilt and deceived Decim into thinking that he was a good person. Further adding, they might have been able to work things out and have a happy ending if they didn't die that day. Decim, who did not take into consideration other emotions present after the couple finished torturing each other, realizes that the confession bit was an act of love. He then reflects back on their memories and acknowledges his mistake, as well as apologizes to his boss, promising it won't happen again. Therefore, Nona warns Dean not to ignore emotions and reminds him that everyone makes mistakes. Not gonna lie, after hearing all that, we don't feel bad for calling the man pathetic. True Machi did sleep with a guy one time, but she not only did regret it, but also sacrificed herself for her man to be reborn again. Hopefully, with fewer insecurities this time. And before you say, no wait, Takashi's son did nothing wrong. We learn from Nona after she departs that Takashi was a very insecure person, he could not trust anybody, and would never be able to live a happy life. Back at Quindecim, he could not trust anybody. We learn from Nona after she departs that Takashi was a very insecure person, he could not trust anybody, and would never be able to live a happy life. Back at Quindecim, Decim looks forward to working with the woman as his assistant. Also, he apologizes once more for his earlier error and confesses his admiration for those who live fulfilling lives, just like Machiko. Moving on to the next guest, a hipster named Shigeru awakens in the Quindecim to find the main man standing by. He invites him to have a seat with the cool kids at the bar. After getting flustered by the cutie there, the enigmatic blue-eye hunk introduces himself and outlines the situation with the help of his new assistants. Anyways, Shigeru is only able to recall being on a bus after college, while the girl's memory is completely blank. Decim notes that they will be able to remember everything by playing a game, which will be determined by roulette. He also emphasizes that their lives are at stake, and they cannot depart until the game concludes. Though skeptical, Shigeru agrees to play the game to help the girl remember her name and who she is. Eventually, the game is decided to be bowling. With a burst of smoke and a golden glow, the bar transforms into a serene bowling alley, and the balls they will be using are special. They hold hearts in them representing the duo's own hearts in shape, size, and beat. Even though taken aback by being able to feel each other's heartbeat, the lads cannot but play, and it's the guys' turn first.
少し早い。これが彼女の体温。すごく温かい。
Just when you thought Japan no way able to sexualize a thing like human organs, they do it anyways. As they bowl, memories start resurfacing for both of them. Shigeru remembers Chisato, his childhood friend who waving goodbye to him in the sunset, and he wonders if Chisato could be that girl. They continue playing, enjoying themselves, noting this is the best time of their lives. Heck, clueless, in the 8th round, Shigeru suggests that if he wins, the girl will go on a date with him. The girl is a little surprised but agrees to indulge with him. When it's her turn, the girl remembers working at a bowling alley and recognizes Shigeru as her childhood friend, and excitedly tells him that she's Chisato. In Shigeru's final throw, he remembers a conversation with his friends about a secret related to the girl, a secret so big it fazed him badly. You see, turns out the girl is actually his other childhood friend, Mai Takada, which she too remembers after missing her last shot and losing to the hipster. He goes to congratulate him, but the guy doesn't care. He tells him to sit his bitch ass down, as the man has a date to claim. He confronts the fake Chisato, who was about to tell him that she is the other girl, but then the original bro cuts her to ask for his date, whom he won fair and square. Shigeru asks if he can spend a little more time with Mai as he owes her a date, to which Decim says, "Yeah, sure bro, you got 5 minutes." Safe to say, no one appreciated that joke. Anyway, Shigeru and Mai spend their last moments together hand by hand before their heartfelt goodbye at the elevators of fate. As they leave, Decim shares with a hottie that Mai had plastic surgery to resemble Chisato because she was in love with Shigeru since they were kids, and Shigeru always liked Chisato more. They both stand and watch silently as both Mai and Chisato are sent for reincarnation. The true happy ending, something the next guests might not be so lucky to enjoy. As we see Misaki Tachibana, a middle-aged woman, and Yasuke, a younger man, are trapped in everyone's favorite bar, Quindekim. Yet the pair was not very pleased about being there, especially after hearing that they need to play a game of life and death. That said, Misaki, being your typical reality show star, believes it's all part of a hidden camera show. But Yasuke is doubtful, so she uses her sex appeal on the Man of Steel to make him play along. Soon after, they return to the bar and push the button of fate. The game they will play is an arcade game with avatars of themselves. Although the man is not happy with his character having no abilities and looking like a wimp, MILF is low-key glad about her character's design and abilities. Her positive outlook soon turns negative when Yasuke quickly wins the first round, frustrating Misaki. Memories of her troubled teenage pregnancy and abusive life quickly start flowing back to her. And by God, what a sad life that was. Before the second round, Misaki convinces Yasuke to lose, promising him a win later since it will look more exciting for the viewers that way. Hence, Yasuke doesn't fight back and tanks all the combos like a total bot noob, but before he gets KO, the Menace fights back to make Misaki's win look genuine. Not that he needed to do so, as Decim breaks his joystick using a remote, bringing back memories of his parents' divorce and how he rejected his stepmother. Before the third and final round starts, the chick takes Yasuke back to the bathroom and tells him the plan has changed. He needs to lose the next round so that she can look good. Yasuke, however, being a gamer and a smart man, points out this is not a show, which makes the Japanese Kardashian think. Thereafter, Misaki questions the show's authenticity, and Decim confirms it's not a TV show. Hearing this, Misaki recalls the hanging dolls and expresses her frustration with the unfairness of the game, since Yasuke clearly has more experience with video games, but Decim tells her, is fairness something you've come to expect in your life, while giving her a cold killer look with his one eye. During the final round, Misaki uses her ultimate combo, Loving Children Attack. Yup, it's a shitty name for a shitty combo, only good thing about it was the baby holding a grown-ass man by the neck. Sadly, though, for the Cougar, she couldn't capitalize on the stun since Decim broke her joystick. As his assistant protests the douche move, Misaki becomes aggressive and stops Yasuke from winning by bashing his head on the screen. Unconscious, Yasuke remembers how his stepmother's only wish was that he accepts her and become enough with each other to close call her mom. She was a lovely lady, apparently, who treated him well. But due to the depression and the abusive relationship he had with his biological mother when he was little, he later kills himself. Hearing his stepmom cries, Yasuke eventually wakes up and pulls a combo to then end the game in a draw after both players recall their final moment among the living. Decim confirms to them that they are both dead, and he's there to judge their souls. Misaki attacks Decim, saying that her life finally turned around and now it has been taken away and demands to be sent back to her kids, but Decim restrains her. Meanwhile, Yasuke sheds tears regretting the fact he didn't let his stepmom in his life and heart, which in turn broke her heart after he killed himself. Seeing both of them burst into tears regretting their choices, Decim gives them a hug to console them, saying, "No matter what, you did the best you could. Not gonna lie, that shit broke me. Sometimes all that one needs is just a hug and knowing." He then leads them back to the elevators. While Yasuke is reincarnated, Misaki is sent to the void, concluding their journey at Quinjekin and at the crazy experience we call life. It truly was a heavy, dark episode. In contrast, the next trial begins with a vivid dream of a kid's story, which granted in this type of show can be considered dark AF. Luckily, Ella Sistans awakens from this strange recurring dream, takes a path, and opens her closet to take her fit. As she does so, Girly notices an unfamiliar outfit hanging amidst her usual garments. Assuming it was mistakenly placed there, she swiftly changes and heads towards the bar. To her surprise, the new panel that Decim just put up displays the very image of the girl from her dreams. When she asks him why he is replacing the old one, Decim tells her that he doesn't know a thing. He's adjusting the roulette at Nona's behest. The chat gets cut short as soon as the guests, a man and a young boy, enter the room. Decim wastes no time and queries the duo about their memories before arriving at the bar as they take their seat. The man feels a sense of déjà vu, telling Decim that he and the bar seem familiar to him, while the boy has no memory. The whole situation seems to faze Decim. Meanwhile, Nona is playing a play of pool with an old-timer called Oculus, but don't let the looks deceive you. Dr. Ock is a powerful man. How powerful he is? Well, on top of playing pool with literal planets, the guy is the creator of the system of arbitration. He also observes all floors and is in a higher position than Nona, not to mention he is the second in line to the position of God. Yet he sucks at pool and Nona always beats him. We call this skill issues. Back at the bar, as the man takes a sip of his beer, memories rush back over to him, recalling every detail about Decim and the bar. He seizes the young boy, holding him hostage. However, the arbiter swiftly intervenes and restrains the man by using his threads while narrating an old story that the fat guy clearly doesn't seem into it. The man then blacks out, but not because of the boring story. When Decim looks back, he finds the black-haired woman unexpectedly knocked unconscious. Thus, the man wastes no time and uses his threads to capture the kid. The boy transforms into another arbiter, Inti. The less flamboyant Hisoka also happens to be an old acquaintance of the main man. Hence why Kinti had no problem confronting Decim, accusing him of slacking off in his role as an arbiter, and questioning why he hasn't passed judgment on the woman yet. Decim, though, explains that he refrained from judging her initially because she already knew she was deceased, so he couldn't prompt her to play the game. In turn, he asked Nona to erase her memories, and ever since that, he was enjoying her company and assistance in handing judgments. Annoyed by his remarks, Kinti attacks Decim to knock some sense into him. They both lock into a fierce battle, nearly leveling the entire bar to the ground. Luckily, Nona, accompanied by Clavis, the elevator operator, swiftly intervenes, rendering Ginty motionless and preserving the bar from devastation. Nona tells Decim that the guests were part of a memory test designed for him, which he failed to discern. Realizing that he hadn't received any memories of the guests, which was the clue he missed, Decim apologizes for his failure to follow proper procedure. Clavis removes the lifeless body of the man, who's just a mere dummy, and departs alongside everyone else. Nona makes a stop at her friend's caster office. Her job is to measure the coefficients of the dead and classify them in various fields to determine their bar destination. We learn from their interaction that humans are dying at a fast rate, faster than usual. Back with the D-Man, he gently carries the unconscious black-haired woman back to her room while she continues to experience the same dream about the children's book that Nona is reading, by the way. Now, since we got introduced to a new arbiter, it only makes sense that we see the man of the hour doing his thing. The guests are Mayu Arita, an overly energetic schoolgirl, and Harada, an idol singer who happens to be her favorite idol member from his group. Overjoyed by being in his presence, she eagerly shakes his hand. Not wanting to be a part of this cringe sight, Kinti, immediately assumes his role as an arbiter and presents them with a roulette button. They spin the roulette, which lands on Twister. G-Man then takes the young lads to another room where the Twister mat is. He explains that they have to place their body parts on the corresponding circles as indicated by the spinner. Mayu was like, say less, as she was thrilled to engage in the game with Harada, who in turn is not enjoying the game since the girl with the heavy makeup is not that cute. He simply wants it to end so he can return to his girlfriend, which makes you wonder why he didn't just fall immediately to leave. Instead, he was show-offing how flexible he is. Meanwhile, the G is chilling reading the memories of the guy in a magazine. As the game progresses, Mayu requests a break, but Kinti ignores her plea and intensifies the game. Each panel now represents various extreme weather conditions. The red is for blazing heat, green is for strong wind, strong enough to send the girl's fake eyelashes flying, while blue is for ice cold, and the worst one of them all is yellow. Harada, being half frozen, uses all his might, abs, and glutes to place his right foot on the yellow circle, causing the remaining panels to collapse, revealing a floor covered in spikes. Ginty informs them that the game will only end when a single player remains. Game has turned into Fall Guys. And just as Harada is about to kick Mayu down, she surprises them both by volunteering to sacrifice herself. The fawn girl thanks Harada for comforting her through his music, thanks him for playing the game, and then drops down. However, Harada, haunted by memories of his ex-girlfriend's side following their breakup, grasps her hand and attempts to memories of his ex-girlfriend playing the game, and then drops down. However, Harada, haunted by memories of his ex-girlfriend's side following their breakup, grasps her hand and attempts to save her. Despite his efforts, Mayu slips from his grasp and falls to her death. To Mayu's surprise, the spikes turn out to be nothing more than an illusion, and she safely lands on the ground below. Memories flood back to them both. Mayu remembers she died after she slipped in the bathroom, while Harada was killed by his ex-girlfriend's sister, who planted a bomb in his room. A deserved move, as it seems he nailed her too. Anyways, when Kinti heads to retrieve her, the girl doesn't seem bothered about the hole. She just asks for a change of clothes since her uniform is ruined and returns looking like another person, a cuter one that leaves both Ginty and Harada surprised.
Aku juga pilihan hati jimat hingga 50% setiap hari. Harada seizes the opportunity to flirt with Mayu, leaving her flustered. Proving yet again, once a dog will always be a dog, even if he went kaboom. That said, we back now with the original G as he plays pool by his lonesome and narrates the rules the arbiters live by. Number 1, arbiters cannot stop handing judgments as it's the purpose of their existence. Number 2, arbiters cannot experience death, otherwise it will taint their judgment, making them too close to being humans. Number 3, arbiters can't feel emotions since it's not in their nature. And with that quick rundown, we are back with the black-haired woman. She wakes up from the same dream once again. This time when she gets up and starts to get ready, she notices an odd book on a shelf. She takes it out, and to her surprise, it's a children's book with the same story as the one she dreams about. A part of her memories returns, and she realizes that she is dead, as well making her understandably depressed. Later, she heads to the bar and asks Dekim about the book, but he replies that the book probably belongs to the former arbiter of Quindekim. Years ago, when Dekim and Ginty were created as arbiters and assigned to their respective floors, Nona, their superior, led them to observe Quinn, the previous bartender of Quindekim, as she conducted her final judgment before departing to work in the Information Bureau. Nona told Dekim that he will be entrusted with the responsibility of Quindekim, located on the 15th floor after Quinn leaves. After taking them both to the upper viewing deck, Nona provided them with a remote-like device that could manipulate the games. Throughout the proceedings, Nona noticed that Dee never even considered using the remote, unlike Chi. Upon being questioned afterward, Dekim admitted that he had been distracted, pondering the thoughts of the guests, and had forgotten to utilize the device. Nona realized that Dekim, like the other arbiters, was initially devoid of genuine emotions but possessed the potential, further piquing her interest in his approach to arbitration. What makes one wonder is how a character so cold-looking as well as cold-behaving can have such potential for emotions, unlike the others who seem so vibrant and lively. Anyways, before parting ways, Quinn advised Dekim to find something precious that would aid him, as the repetitive and dull nature of the arbiter's role could become boring. As the woman inquires about his cherished possession, Dekim reveals his collection of dummies. He explains how he meticulously crafts these mannequins, modeling them after the guests he has judged to ensure their memories are not forgotten. Initially unsettled by Dekim's peculiar interest, the woman's perspective shifts as Dekim explains his motivations. He tells her about his admiration for those who have lived fulfilling lives. Therefore, once the guests are cast into the void and turned into dummies while their essence floats around, he goes down and collects their parts to dress them up and add them to his collection to remember and honor them. Yet he does forget them, ironically enough, since the memories of the Arbiters are regularly wiped clean to avoid overloading them with information. Meanwhile, Nona and Quinn are catching up, having some girls' time. Quinn tells her girl to be cautious about letting the old man know what she's doing with her boy, as he doesn't like Arbiters to break the rules they are meant to abide by, i.e., no feeling for them. Speaking about the devil, when Nona wakes up, she finds him standing over her. The old G decided to pay her visit since she haven't been seeing him lately. Oculus sensed something is up, but Nona tells him she was busy and proceeded to wiggle her way out of integration. Speaking about integration, wait till you see the next guest. Decim and the assistant prepare to greet two new guests. After their memories start to flood Decim's mind, he turns to the woman puzzled and tells her that one of the guests is a murderer. He quickly calls Nona to confirm the situation, and she just tells him to handle it while having a devilish smile on her face. The elevators open, revealing a young boy named Shimada and a middle-aged detective named Tatsumi. After they have taken their seat, Decim goes over the usual point, and just like roaches when you take a piss over their nest, Tatsumi and Shimada attempt to find an escape route, but are quickly met with only dead ends. As Shimada explores the bathroom, he finds a bloody kitchen knife in his bag, causing him to panic. He hastily conceals the knife when Tatsumi enters and asks for his cooperation to get out of this predicament. Both agree to play along in Decim's game, and so the main man presents them with a button to spin the roulette. Tatsumi presses the button, and the game selected is air hockey. Despite the fact a table rose from beneath the ground like the Undertakes, and the pucks displayed images of the guests' organs, the boys manage to put aside the disturbing visuals and start the game. As the game progresses, their memories gradually begin to resurface. Tatsumi recalls his wife's murder and his pursuit of her killer, while Shimada remembers seeking vengeance for his sister's assault by an unknown assailant. Memories continue to surge back like a river, revealing the actions that led them to Quindecim. And with that, the game becomes more intense since both of them want to get out of Quindecim as soon as possible, not to mention the fact that Decim abruptly announced that the time limit has expired and the game now switched to a link format, meaning the desks will represent their organs and will inflict pain on their bodies. Before they proceed, Tatsumi inquires about Shimada's urgent matter, to which Shimada tells him about his sister's assault and the authorities' failure to assist him. Tatsumi then shares the story of his wife's murder with Shimada. Initially taken aback by Tatsumi's perspective on killing murderers, Shimada eventually agrees, believing criminal scum deserves nothing more than to be buried 6 feet under. Curious, the black-haired woman requests Decim to show her the memories that were previously sent to him. He makes a request and the player's memories are transmitted to her. Instantly, her expression changes as she comprehends that both Tatsumi and Shimada are killers. And I will tell you why. It's because they lack those thick thighs. Never forget, boys, thick thighs save lives. Shimada and Tatsumi continue to play air hockey as they both vow to seek revenge on those who harmed their loved ones. None of them wants to lose at this point. As they each garner a point, their memories become clearer, until Shimada realizes that the knife he found earlier in his bag was the one he used to kill the man who abused his sister. Tatsumi also remembers that he had already avenged his wife and remembers her voice thanking him after he had killed the murderer. Therefore, he urges Shimada to play better so he can get out of this bar and get things right, for his sister also told him about another man who just stood there and watched her get assaulted. Thus, the high-stakes game continues with the last desk representing their brain on the line. Shimada wins the game, and the detective gets hit with one more memory revealing his fate crossed with the young lad after hearing the latter's full name when Decim congratulates him on the win. Tatsumi takes a look at the knife and realizes it was the weapon that sent him here.
If you can't survive for 10 minutes, just delete the app.
If you want to last more than 10 minutes in an unmelted attack.
Yet Shimada thinks the whole "we are already dead" situation is a joke until Tatsumi shows him his wound, refreshing Shim's memory of when he jumped out of the bathroom after killing his sister's assaulter to finish the guy that just entered the apartment. With his mind fucked, Shimada wonders why the detective was in the house that day. Tatsumi reveals he was the one who stood and watched the poor lad's sister get assaulted, telling him that even though he saw the man assaulting his sister, he couldn't help her just so he could gather more evidence on the guy and ultimately kill him. In his mind, Tatsumi perceives himself as an arbiter. He needs to see the bad shit through before quote-unquote pass judgment. Hearing how his sister's fate could have been changed if the man acted, Shim couldn't but be enraged. Decim stops him from attacking the douche, but since he still can't judge them accurately, he asks Shimada if he wants to inflict punishment on Tatsumi. Blinded by rage, he tells him that he wants to kill him.
Decim clarifies, once a person passes away, they cannot die. They can still feel pain, and so he places Tatsumi's pucks in front of him and restrains Tatsumi, while Shimada grabs the knife to break them. The black-haired woman tries to stop Decim, saying that he's only drawing out the darkness in Shimada's soul, and that he cannot judge people when he cannot comprehend their emotions. But the Chad doesn't care. He tells her that this needs to happen, so he can observe their actions to pass judgment. However, one needs to point out that her words somewhat reminded Decim that he has a heart. She also tried to do the same with the young lad, talking him from breaking the desks so he can be reincarnated and see his sister again in another form. Shimada hesitates for a moment, but Tatsumi manipulates him, saying he's weak and needs to fight back. These words break Shimada's mind, and he starts breaking the pucks one by one, making Tatsumi shriek with agony before he passes out. After this shit show, Decim starts to question his abilities as an arbiter. The woman's words struck him deeply, so he decides to visit Nona and expresses his concerns to her about the flaws in their judgment process. He questions whether the extreme conditions imposed on the guests truly reveal their darkness, or if they instead create it. Despite his doubts, Decim apologizes to Nona and explains that due to his respect for those who have lived fulfilling lives, he cannot judge them. Meanwhile, the assistant wakes up and finds her skin is peeling, and not in a beach skin peel kinda satisfying way, let me say that. Nona informs him to carry out his duties and tells Decim that the black-haired woman's time is running out and will soon require judgment. Decim insists that he can't handle judging her without Nona's assistance, yet he is down to do it without the woman's memories, as he believes the nature of his assistant isn't that bad. Nona challenges Decim's belief in knowing the woman's true nature and asserts that even if he did, he wouldn't comprehend it, for he is nothing but a mere doll devoid of emotions, and reminds him about the Arbiter's rules. Frustrated, Decim clenches his fist in anger, but remains silent. Nona says that a special guest will soon arrive for him to judge, and he must return to his post immediately. Back at Quindecim, he breaks the news to his girl and tells her that humans can reside in this realm for so long, as they will turn back to their original state as dummies. Thus, they head back to the bar to await the arrival of their guest, an old lady named Sachiko. Decim, like always, explains the details to her, and Sachiko instantly agrees to cooperate. She spins the roulette, and it lands on Old Maid, a card game. Worth to mention, he doesn't have the memories of the old lady downloaded in his DOM. Both the woman and Decim proceed to play the game with her, during which Sachiko recognizes an old man depicted on one of the cards. She thanks Decim as some of the illustrations on the cards were made by her, as well as have something relevant to the one playing them, meaning the cards hold memories and events relevant to the person holding them. The game starts, and unlike the other ones, this one doesn't have any kind of organ link bullshit. It's just a peaceful card game, unlike the ones we have with family and friends. At some point, the black-haired woman picks up the Joker card with ice skates drawn on them, which seems familiar to her. Meanwhile, Nona and Clavis visit Quinn, where the lowly requests all of the woman's memories. Although Quinn protests the idea since the memories need to get condensed, Q ends up handing them in exchange for some booze. Back at Quindecim, Sachiko draws a card and notices that it's an unfinished illustration of hers, making her realize that she is dead. After Decim conforms it, the game continues normally with a hottie turn, and she draws the character she's been seeing in her dreams. The old lady notices the card on the table. She tells them the character is from a story called Chavik, which was done by another famous children's story artist. Suddenly, the black-haired woman's memories rush back as she remembers her mother reading her a story, and for the first time recalls her name, Chiyuki, making her cry. With that, the game concludes with Chiyuki losing. Decim and Chiyuki both lead the woman back to the elevator, destined for reincarnation, and before departing, the lovely old lady tells them that she had quite fun playing the game, thanking them for the good time. Elsewhere, Oculus, the creator of the system of arbitration, having grown suspicious of Nona's behavior, examines some of Clavis' memories and laughs at the lowly's feeble attempts of trying to create an arbiter with human emotions. Back at everyone's favorite bar, Chiyuki notices that her body continues to flake away. Decim tells her he needs some help to fill some gaps and expresses his desire to learn more about humans before Chiyuki's body begins to deteriorate, necessitating her judgment. Mayu is overjoyed to see Harada again, but realizes that he is still unconscious. Ginty tells her that his soul has not returned to his body yet, and that in order to bring it back, another soul must be sent to the void in its place. So he shows her a random guide to replace his place in the void. Guy then gives Mayu the red button and instructs her to press it once she has made her decision. Mayu hesitates, wanting to know who the other person is. Ginty questions whether it matters and asks what kind of person she would sacrifice for Harada. However, Mayu, being the best guest so far behind the first chick who sacrificed herself for her insecure husband, offers her soul in exchange. Meanwhile, Decim remembers his first encounter with Chiyuki, who arrived knowing that she was already dead. Decim couldn't convince her to play any death games and put her to sleep, erasing her memories and postponing her judgment. He had requested to be the one to judge Shiyuki, but is unsure why he feels compelled to do so. Shiyuki returns to her room and removes the odd-looking clothes, realizing they are skate dancing uniforms. She changes into them, returns to the bar, and finds an ice rink waiting for her while Decim asks her to skate. As she does, her memories come flooding back. She remembers that she became a professional figure skater inspired by her favorite book, Chavat. However, a severe knee injury forced her to retire, leading to severe depression and detachment from others. Despite knowing there were other things in life for her, she found it hard to connect with others, ultimately leading her to kill herself. Suddenly, her doll knee breaks, making her dance come to an abrupt stop. Decim takes her back to the bar and prepares a drink called Memento Mori for both of them. As soon as she takes a sip, Shiyuki passes out. Decim contacts Quinn, asking her to send him Chiyuki's memories, not realizing that Nona had already prepared them. Meanwhile, on the 20th floor, Mayu enters the elevator with Harada's body and asks Ginty where it will take her. Ginty assures her that Harada will wake up because she's going to the place where his soul is. The elevator starts to descend, and Mayu notices that her body is slowly starting to flake. She realizes she has been tricked and has been sent to the void as the elevator speeds up. She looks at Harada as he opens his eyes for a fleeting moment before their bodies completely disintegrate. Although it sucks, one could feel all right knowing it was her choice, and that she spent her last moment happy before turning into a doll and joining her essence with his. Also, we see her actions somewhat made an impression on G, so all in all you can say it was a win, I guess. Back with Dee after receiving her memories, Decim takes Chiyuki down to the lowest level, which is off limits to the guests. There he brings Chiyuki back to her world. Upon waking up, Chiyuki notices that she is in her room with Decim. After getting her bearings, she starts to roam around her house and notices her mother grieving for her in a corner, apologizing for not knowing what she was going through. Chiyuki tries to call out to her, but Decim tells her that it's no use since the living cannot see them. He hands her a remote, allowing her to be brought back to life in an instant in exchange for someone else's life. As she is about to press the button, she suddenly remembers the people she met in Quindecim and realizes how all of them cherish someone in their lives and cannot take anyone away from their loved ones. She turns down his offer as she looks at her mom and apologizes to her even though her mother cannot see or hear her. Pain shoots through Decim's heart as he now finally understands what sorrow means. The world suddenly shatters into 1,000 pieces as Decim falls to the ground, apologizing over and over for deceiving her by showing her fake realities, since he only wanted to know what she is really like just to pass his judgment as an arbiter. Both Nona and Oculus, who are secretly watching them from afar, are surprised by the outcome. Oculus still believes that they should judge humans without emotions since they will only get in their way while passing judgment, but Nona thinks otherwise. Decim takes Chiyuki back to the elevator, assuring her that she will be reincarnated. Before she leaves, Chiyuki tells Decim to try and smile whenever the guests arrive. Just when the elevator doors close, she notices Decim giving her an honest smile.
Ink stains? Add 1 scoop of Vanish with detergent. Oxy-Action removes...
Well, this is gonna be like...
Takashi and Our story starts with a boy who talks about how the queen... Knight tries to explain that the black are out of trump card. Guy isn't answering. Horuto isn't much of a people's person, so he gets straight to the point. Tell me the truth or I bury your team. Hearing the pleas of his subordinates, the leader finally cracks and discloses that they are part of the queen's summoner team. Horuto probes further and the leader reveals that their plan was to attack the tour tomorrow and assassinate Charlotte. The queen fears that Charlotte will one day grow too powerful and end up challenging her power. Horuto has enough pieced together that all the recent trouble has been the doing of the queen. There are a lot of things going through his mind right now, but one thing is certain. That bitch is gonna pay. He lets his emotions get the best of him and causes the golem to start smashing the summoner into walls. Now with a clear mind, he thinks of the queen, and even if she is his biological mother, he's done playing Batman. He's taking the Punisher route. The next day, the tour goes on as planned, but the awkwardness is immense. Charlotte tries to break the ice by telling Prince Laius that he doesn't have to be too upset about losing to Horuto, since he never stood a chance to begin with, but that just rubs salt in the wound. After accepting his defeat, Laius is a lot less of a brat and is just interested in knowing how Horuto can be so strong. With no other explanation, they speculate that Haruto might be part demon, but there are no signs of any demon traits. Charlotte confirms that Haruto has no demon traits and she can guarantee it since she is bathed with him, shocking the siblings. Charlotte asks if there is something wrong with it, but Leia says it's not necessarily wrong, it's just not normal. The carriage stops and they get out to see the wheat fields, and while the others are having fun, Haruto asks Gold what he would do if the Queen was after Charlotte's life. Gold had anticipated that the Queen was trying to get rid of him, but he would never have thought she was after Charlotte. But since she is the Queen, there is nothing that he can do about it. Haruto says it might be better if the Queen just disappeared, but as wicked as she may be, she is still the strongest warrior in the kingdom, and if she disappeared, there would be a civil war to fill the power vacuum. But if someone else of equal power were to take her place, then it would be fine. Haruto suggests that Gold become king, but he knows he is not cut out to be the king. However, he believes that Charlotte would one day be able to rule the kingdom well. Haruto decides to protect Charlotte until she can become queen, and that means putting off killing the queen. But he still has plans to go see her. The queen receives a report on the failure to assassinate Charlotte, and she is not happy about it. She throws wine in the face of the knight and calls him useless. The knight tries to explain that the Black Knight has been foiling all their plans, but the queen doesn't see what the big deal is with one measly vigilant. She thinks she might just have to take him on herself and put an end to this. And the chance to put her money where her mouth is presents itself as Black Knight is right there. The queen's knights try to guard her, but they are immediately choked out by barriers. The queen asks how he managed to get into the castle, since there should be several layers of barriers around it. But barriers are kind of Black Knight's thing, so it's not like that was going to stop him. She doesn't care anymore and just wants to kill him, so she activates 3 spells at once, and Black Knight is actually pretty impressed. She creates a ball of water around him and tries to drown him, but he just jumps straight out of it. Next, she tries throwing spikes at him. And when that doesn't work, she tries a fireball and she thinks she has finally gotten him. But Black Knight just gets up and goes, "Yep, that was fire all right. It's now his..." turn to attack, and he just casually pelts her with blast after blast until she runs out of mana to defend herself. With no other options, she engages in close combat with the holy sword that killed the Demon King, and she exclaims that she is the strongest in the world. But immediately after, she gets disarmed and is now defeated. He still can't kill her, despite how much he wants to, so he puts a collar around her neck that will kill her if she ever does anything against Gold or Charlotte again, and leaves her to wait in her defeat. He walked in, asserted dominance, and just left right after. After a long night of asserting dominance, Haruto's threat has kept the Queen at bay for 5 years, and now he is spending the day playing with Charlotte in the snow. Not much has changed, as Charlotte is still a weeb and Flay is still useless in everything other than the most random things. As Charlotte and Flay continue to play in the snow, Haruto and Gold have a discussion. Gold talks about how the Queen hasn't made another attempt on Charlotte's life since 5 years ago, and all of a sudden, she started wearing a slave collar. At first, the other nobles thought it was just some weird fashion statement, but after a while, they started wondering if she might have been trying something kinky and got stuck in the collar. However, one thing is certain, is Charlotte now safe. He can continue to live his peaceful shut-in life. That peace lasted for all of 2 seconds, as Gold tells him that he has to go to school now. Haruto doesn't want to go, and Gold didn't want to send him there, but there are factors that he can't refuse. The king recommended him personally, and it was most likely due to Marion taking an interest in him. It would cause problems if he declined the king's personal offer, so he agrees to go. Gold says he can take an attendant with him, but before he can even think about Flay, Gold says he can't take her. He can't have her chucking fireballs in the school. Just then his mother barges in and says he can take her, but that is basically handing yourself over on a silver plate to the bullies. Gold gives him some time to find someone to take, but Haruto still has plans for avoiding school altogether. He's going to send his clone instead, but the clone also doesn't want to go. But there is another plan. Since the clone can't use magic, Haruto would be expelled for lack of ability, and he would not have to go anymore. But the clone questions why it has to be him, since if he gets picked on, he doesn't have any main character powers to defend himself. So Haruto compromises and promises to use barrier magic to make sure he at least doesn't get hurt. In a log cabin in the middle of the woods, Flay is wiping down the windows while Charlotte is watching anime and Haruto is playing video games. He then suddenly recalls something that his procrastination had led him to neglect. He's still about to find an attendant for the academy unless he wants his mom to go with him. While walking in the forest, Haruto comes across a barrier in the forest and walks into it only to find that it is the one he created for the skeletons to live in. What else was he going to do with them? After he defeated them 5 years ago, they swore their loyalty to him. So with no idea what to do, Haruto just gave them some land and chucked them into the wilderness. The leader, Johnny, tells Haruto that he can order them to do anything he wants, but what he wants to know is why there are other monsters here too. The other monsters are from the monsters that Flay scared the living daylights out of, so now they live here and recover from the PTSD. Haruto thinks it's fine as long as they don't cause any trouble, but he is still surprised that the settlement seems to have grown quite a bit. And they've even started farming and planning to grow their population. Haruto starts thinking that Johnny seems to be quite capable, and if he manages to create a body for him, then he might make a perfect attendant. He would be perfect if he didn't talk so much that it. Johnny notices the look on Haruto's face and asks if he may have done anything wrong, but Haruto denies it and says he is just impressed with how well Johnny is handling things here. Later, Haruto sits by the lake and talks to himself about how tired he is. He had thought he could just spend time alone in the forest, but that whole thing happened. And while he is sitting there, the golem pops up behind him and sits down. The golem is named Jigen and is a lot more soft-spoken than Johnny. In that respect, Haruto would like to take her as his attendant, but I assume the academy doesn't make 10-ton beds. As Haruto walks back to the cabin, he realizes that picking an attendant might actually be really difficult. But seeing as he has learnt nothing from his procrastination, he decides to forget about it for now. He returns home and Flay asks him what all this talk of attendance is about, but Haruto remembers that Flay isn't an option, so he tells her that it has nothing to do with her. The next day, Charlotte starts coming up with new names for things and ends up naming the monster village Pandemonium. Elsewhere in some mountains, a party of adventurers is cornering a blizzard dragon, but the dragon starts to fly away, so they chase after it. The dragon then takes a nosedive into the mountain and ends up buried by an avalanche. A blizzard dragon losing to snow is pretty ironic. Gold calls Haruto in to discuss something and tells him about the blizzard dragon that got wounded in the mountains. It hasn't entered their region yet, but if it were to go on a rampage, then there would be several casualties. So he wants Flay to go deal with it, but Flay refuses, stating that she only follows orders from Haruto. But even when Haruto asks her to do it, she still refuses. Her reason is that since she has never met that dragon, it means that it chose not to help during the Demon War, and she can't bring herself to talk to such a coward. After talking a little more, they exit the office and Charlotte was outside eavesdropping on the conversation. She asks Flay to please save the dragon, and if both Haruto and Charlotte are asking, she has no choice but to agree. They head to the mountains and Haruto begins scanning the area until he locates the dragon, but adventurers are closing in on it, so they have to act fast. The adventurers are about to finish off the dragon, but Haruto jumps in to defend it and heals its wounds. Flay then starts chucking fire at the adventurers, who so far have done nothing wrong whatsoever. The dragon gets up and freezes Haruto immediately, which is not how you thank someone for saving you, and after Haruto breaks free, he's really angry. The dragon can speak but ignores Haruto, and asks Flay why she's obeying a human. And this sets off a long, unskippable cutscene. 1 hour later, Flay is done with her speech. The dragon now believes that Haruto is the demon lord and apologizes for not fighting the war between humans and demons. She lived alone for 300 years and doesn't like conflict. She recounts that at first she just slept in a cave, but then an adventurer dropped a book and she loved reading it so much that she left her cave and took on a human form so that she could go to a human village to read books. But while they may seem harmless, she still stole those books from the library, and one day adventurers found her and attacked, burning down her pile of stolen books in the process. Kind of hard to feel sorry for her, but Flay seems to be quite moved by the story and invites her to come live in Pandemonium. Haruto agrees to this, and the dragon swears her loyalty to him before transforming into a human. Haruto already knows what is going to happen, so before the fan service could kick in, he creates clothes for her. Afterwards, he names her Lisa. Flay gets jealous and tries to assert dominance here, but Haruto just tells them to follow him home for now. And while Lisa is able to sprout wings to follow him,
uneven tones on your sensitive skin? Choose Simple Booster Serum. With 10% niacinamide, 7 benefits in every drop. No harsh chemicals, just vibrant glow. Simple Sensitive Skin Experts.
Kejap! Lagi best berjalan-jalan kalau dapat tawarkan harga sendiri. Tidak perlu terserah kepada algoritma. Jalan pada harga adil yang disetujui bersama. Muat turunlah InDrive sekarang.
Flay is stuck on the ground. When they get back to the castle, Haruto asks for permission to have Lisa work as a maid here. Gold is already way beyond questioning the things that Haruto does, so he says it is fine. Flay is now training Lisa to become a maid, but honestly, Flay already sucked at her job, so Lisa is immediately better at this than her. The food Lisa made is served to the family, and they all love it and praise her for her skill. Haruto's mother asks Lisa if she is good at anything else, and she says she is quite knowledgeable in basic magic, so she's made Charlotte's personal maid. The next morning, Lisa gets up to get Charlotte out of bed dressed for the day. They then go into the courtyard and Lisa begins teaching Charlotte about basic magic and assisting her with her studies. And after a few lessons, Charlotte is already able to manifest a gigantic fireball. Haruto praises Lisa for her capability and apologizes for making her do so much work, but Lisa doesn't seem bothered by it and actually really enjoys moving around. Charlotte doesn't want to cause trouble for her, so she tells her to open up about any problems she may be having and asks to become friends with her. Haruto thinks about how Lisa is really dependable, very good at learning and adapting, and kind as well. He realizes that she is the perfect candidate to be his attendant, but she has already become friends with Charlotte, so he can't separate them anymore. But then he gets the idea to create a magic door to allow Lisa to return here to be with Charlotte and also his attendant at the same time. Later, Charlotte is feeling the depression of finishing her favorite series and is bored out of her mind. Liz informs her that she has to head back to the castle, and Haruto finally gets around to telling her that he will be going to school next week. Charlotte gets some weird ideas in her head and calls a meeting of all of Haruto's subordinates. She tells them about Haruto going to school, and Flay is upset that he didn't tell her first. She wonders why he even needs to go to school at all since he is the Demon Lord, but she forgets that she isn't supposed to tell Charlotte about that. Charlotte asks if there is anything she doesn't know about Haruto, but the others aren't giving up any information. Back to the matter at hand, Charlotte called the meeting because she is confused why Haruto would go to school willingly. She knows for a fact that he hates school with a passion, but his disdain for school only served to fuel Charlotte's imagination, and she now believes that there is a secret student council at the school which is leading students down the path of evil and stealing their souls or something. She thinks Haruto is going to go fight them, and everyone believes her without a second thought. So Charlotte makes a plan for them to investigate it at the academy, but they don't ask Haruto about any of this. Lisa, as the only one there, with more than 2 brain cells, actually goes to ask Haruto about it, but he decides not to tell the truth and makes up an excuse for why she must go with him to the academy. Haruto still plans to get kicked out as soon as possible, but at least his attendant issue is solved. Haruto is about to leave for the academy with Lisa and has hidden her tail and horns to prevent drawing attention to her, but she seems a little uneasy about having lost them. And Flay is over there in the corner crying about not being the one to go with Haruto. Meanwhile, in the royal capital, the princess barges into the prince's room to tell him that Haruto is on his way to the capital right now. He tries to act disinterested, but he was the one who went through all the trouble to get Haruto recommended to the academy. The prince has gone through a lot of character development since he got his ass handed to him by Haruto, so now he wants to go to the same school as him in hopes of learning a little about him, that's all. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to the latest tsundere. But he's not the only one, because the prince knows that Marion went on a whole tantrum until their father gave permission for Haruto to enroll. She tries to play it off and says it's not like she's in love with Haruto or anything. But the prince isn't stupid, so she basically just admitted that she loves Haruto. The conversation got real awkward real quick, so the prince changes the subject and asks if she has been alright with all the cultists doing cult things in the school. The Church of Lucifera, they are using the shield of calling themselves a religion to get away with a lot of shady things, like tax evasion, and recently, they have been throwing around the idea of overthrowing the monarchy. And what's worse, it seems that the queen is a part of all this. The prince hasn't been able to figure her out since she had that collar put on her 5 years ago, and even before that, he was already scared of her. But now she might be trying to crush the king altogether since they aren't on good terms, and they don't know what to do about that. Marion thinks Haruto may be able to change things around a little since she thinks he has the power to possibly topple an entire nation, which she's not exactly wrong, but she still has no proof of that. The prince brings up that he heard about a hero in Gold's province called the Black Knight, and he might be able to resolve this situation if they ask for his help. The queen then comes into their room acting all nice, but the reaction of the prince and Marianne is like a psycho just walked in. And yep, definitely a psycho, as the queen starts strangling Marianne for looking at the collar on her neck. The prince begs her to let go of Marianne, and she just says she was just joking around. She then talks to the prince, who I'm just now realizing has gotten a lot beefier,
She gets in close and tells him to learn everything he can about the Black Knight from Haruto and tell her about it with a light death threat mixed in. What a perfectly functional family this is, right? The prince apologizes in his mind for getting Haruto involved with that crazy lady. Meanwhile, Haruto is still lounging around in his cabin. It would take a few days to get to the capital by carriage, but with barrier magic, he is able to create a door that allows him to teleport anywhere he wants to go. It's already been a few days, so he is scheduled to arrive at the capital anytime now. Flay is still begging to be taken with him instead of Lisa, but Haruto's decision is final and he doesn't want to go to jail for Flay's arsonist tendencies. So he heads through the door with Lisa and they end up in a forest near the capital. It is still quite a long walk to the gate, and they can't fly there because they would definitely be spotted, so they're just going to have to suffer through the trek. They notice some people being attacked by a bison that is looking for an easy meal, and Haruto doesn't really care if they get eaten. But if Charlotte found out, then he would never hear the end of it. So he begrudgingly transforms into Black Knight and heads off to save them. Their cart loses a wheel, so Black Knight uses some soft barriers to save a boy from falling first. A white-haired girl in the group then gets out and tries to distract the bison so that the others can escape. Black Knight sees her facing the bison and thinks she might be able to handle this alone so he doesn't have to be here. She was not able to handle it. She's about to get ran through by the bison, but Black Knight knocks it out before it can harm her. He then heals the girl and she thanks him for his help. The kid also comes up to him and thanks him, and Haruto still has a soft spot for kids. He does his pose and announces himself as Shiva here, but no one responds. However, the kid liked it, so we will call that a win. He then fixes the wagon and says he's going to take the bison back to its herd since it shouldn't be here. Later, he and Lisa arrive at the academy. It has one of the things Haruto dreads the most. Crowded lines. This whole thing is literally draining the life out of Haruto, and after signing a mountain of paperwork, he finally gets his room. But he can't handle being here for another minute and heads back to the cabin looking like a shriveled up raisin with another magic door. When he gets there, he asks Flay to cook something for him, but Charlotte suggests that they go to a restaurant in the capital. They have lunch at a restaurant, and afterwards, Charlotte pulls out a map and tells everyone to split up to monitor different sections of the city. She then goes with Haruto and grabs his hand, saying it's a date. He takes a moment to process what she just said and then goes into full-on rationalization mode. They look different enough, so no one would be able to tell that they are siblings. He has never been on a date before, and most important of all, the DNA says it's not incest, so the date is a yes. Haruto is on cloud 9 because of
Attack!